Now, does your bike have obnoxious rattle noises that you can't seem to find where they're coming from? And do they only happen at certain RPM ranges? Well, if you do, try this. Tap your exhaust heat shields, because like mine, it is missing some of the straps that hold the exhaust shield onto the exhaust, and it is causing a pretty annoying rattle noise. And the easiest way to check if you have that is to just go around and start tapping your exhaust. And if yours sounds like mine, you have an issue. So let's take care of it. Now, in order to fix our exhaust rattle, we need to remove our exhaust. And in order to remove our exhaust, we need to remove our right side step. So as you can see, we do have enough room now. All I had to do was remove the top bolt for the side step, and then the long lower one. I just pulled the nut off just so I can kind of pull it out a little bit, but it's angled out of the way enough that I think we're gonna be okay. This is a 1/4 inch extension, and I'm just using an adapter to use a 3/8 ratchet. Now all that's left is to remove the last 4 bolts on this rear bracket, and I'm gonna loosen 3 of them up all the way, and then the 4th one I'm gonna leave a little bit in there. That way I can get a jack underneath the rear of this exhaust to help support it while I pull it off. All right, that should be loose enough, and I can do it by hand. As you can see, the exhaust is pretty much loose. It is pretty heavy, so I'm gonna get this jack put underneath the rear of this, and then we can pull this exhaust off. I got the jack lifted up just slightly on the exhaust to help hold it back there. I'm gonna remove the last bolt in the back and hopefully just pull this exhaust right off. So I did end up removing the right side step assembly to give me enough room to remove the exhaust. I have a block of wood here supporting it just until we reassemble it. So I did print off the installation instructions for this exhaust. That way I could see where the heat shield clamps are supposed to go. And here's a diagram of where all the clamps are supposed to go. There should be 10 in total. We have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it looks like we're missing one here, which would be 9. And I do not see where the 10th one would go. According to our diagram, we have, if we see here, 2 at the back, or 4 at the back, which would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then there should be another 2 right here. So it looks like one is missing somewhere along here. Or it looks like just after the bend. So, okay, maybe right here is where a clamp should go. And then again, right here, you can see the weld in there. And I don't really see one in here. I kind of vaguely see one right there. So let's go ahead and get these clamps on and then get the exhaust reinstalled. So I've been looking everywhere for where the bracket is welded to the heat shield in here. Because as you can see here, there's a weld there, and then on the other side right there and right there. And as with all the ones that already have clamps on them, you can see the welds. which are the brackets that hold these together, and either the instructions are wrong, which very possible, or the bracket fell off, because I do not see any bracket in there anywhere. Kind of looked like right here for a second, but that's actually a crease in the shield. So I do not see a bracket where they're saying, but I do see one right here. So we'll put a clamp here, we'll turn it over and kind of bang it, and hopefully that will completely take care of our rattle noise. There are a couple of other things that I noticed with this exhaust. Clearly they didn't clean it off before they installed it because it has a bunch of fingerprints on it. Thankfully the heat shield isn't like that, but they also over torqued the flanges here because they are bent. It's kind of hard to see, but they are bowed at both corners. So because of that, it's possible this exhaust was not sealing completely, because as you can see, there is black soot on this edge, but not around the remaining rim. So it's possible this exhaust was leaking. As you can see, same with the other side, and that's because they were over torqued and the flanges are bent. So I did get new exhaust gaskets, so I'm hoping that that will seal up even though these are bent, just because it's got new gaskets and they haven't been crushed yet. So I'm hoping that they just reused the old gaskets before and that's why it's leaking. So let's go ahead and get this clamp on here and then we'll check it out. Now that that clamp's tight, let's turn it over and see if our noise is gone. As you can hear, it sounds like our noise is gone. So let's go ahead and get this reinstalled. Before we install this exhaust, let's go ahead and get our old exhaust gaskets out so we can put our new exhaust gaskets in. Just a very, very tiny lip to grab. All right. So there's our first exhaust gasket out. Now let's do the other side. Now it's pretty convenient. There's a hole through this fin right here, so you can get a screwdriver in to pry out your old gaskets. At least that's what I assume it's for. That's what I'm gonna use it for. And perfect. Now we've got our new gaskets. Let's go ahead and get them installed. And they'll just sit right in there like that. Now let's put the other side in. Go. Now that we've got our exhaust in place, let's install our hardware. I'm applying a little bit of anti-seize to all of the nuts and bolts when I reinstall. Now I'm just doing all of these hand tight, that way there's still a little bit of play in them, and I'm gonna torque these down in stages, but first, let's get our rear hardware on. Now you gotta be careful with anti-seize because you get that stuff on your hands and it will get everywhere. I'm gonna leave these bolts a little loose, that way we can go ahead and torque down our front bolts. Now these nuts need to be torqued to 17 foot-pounds and they need to be torqued in stages. All right, let's move to the back ones. All right, now that we got those torqued, let's go ahead and tighten up our last remaining bolts. Now the torque spec on these is good and tight. All right, now let's torque these to spec. Beep. Beep. Another thing to also check is your tips. As you can see, mine is loose. This one's tight up top, so I'm gonna tighten that up as well. Now it did not take much to tighten that up, so if it just gets even the slightest looseness to it, it'll rattle. So now both of the tips are tight, and that's what we want. Now before we install our right side step, let's go ahead and clean our exhaust. Now that our exhaust is clean, let's reinstall our side step. So I will be applying a little bit of anti-seize to these bolts as well. Now that we've got that on, we can go ahead and torque our side step bolts to 29 foot-pounds. I've got the torque wrench set to 29 foot-pounds. All right, now that those are torqued, we got to put a zip tie up to hold our wiring over here, and then there'll be only one thing left to do. Now there's only one thing left to do. Let's check our results. All right, as you can tell, our rattle noise is no more. So it looks like we fixed it, and I am excited because now this bike is gonna sound so much better and it won't have the annoying rattle noise that just irritated me. So I am super excited to ride this. Although the season is pretty much over for riding, there's gonna be a few more good days that we can get out and make some more content. So, all right guys, that's gonna do it for today. If you like what you saw here today, please help support me and support this channel by hitting that like button and subscribing for future videos. But until next time guys, thanks so much for watching. Peace.